Yo, what's going on, man? Make sure you like, subscribe, comment. Today we're doing one on is Oshay Duke Jackson. Yeah, he just did a video. I seen, and what really caught my eye on the video and how I knew which one it was he did a community tab post trying to more further elaborate on this video. Um, I actually seen the whole video, but I wanted to do a review on it. Pretty interesting video. It's also interesting that Oshay Duke Jackson is saying this. Um, but let's go through it.
Rather. And of course, I've been living in the black community since I've been born. And one of the things that I have gotten the feeling about is that black women do not respect black men. And of course, we can look at a lot of things that black women like Pookies and Ray Rays, that black women prefer, this sort of guy over that sort of guy. And some of that can and cannot be true. But there are three fundamental reasons, as I've been developing as a man, that I clearly see why black women have no respect for us. And those things have nothing to do with black women.
I think that black women do have respect for us. I live in the real world. I don't live on the internet. So most of y'all comments and things of that nature, I think it's just different types of men that they don't respect. And the funniest shit is these types of men don't just exist in the black community. There are quote unquote Pookies and Raiders. I know this for a fucking fact. There are jailbirds that are white, Hispanic, whatever the case may be, within those respective communities. I've actually talked with some of my friends of different nationalities and what their problem is when it comes to dating, all these different issues. They all have the same motherfucking issues, men and women. My biggest issue is that we monetize off of it. Let's be real here. Let's be coy. We definitely monetize off of kind of like that strength. Honestly, I haven't seen an Asian bad girls club. I haven't. Maybe they've had diversity, but I've never seen a full Asian cast of bad girls club. I've never seen some of these shows where they're talking bad about just like the bad parts of dynamics of like men and women, and majority of them are black. Let's be honest here. So I just think that the world is we have surrounded our world. The black community has surrounded our world around the internet, and that's where we get in our judgments from. But in the real world, black women love black men. There might be a few that are just like doing crazy shit, but for the most part, I see respect amongst our community. That's just how I see it.
But more or less, it has something to do with us. Now, I want to play this controversial clip from a controversial TikToker that a lot of brothers don't like, and that is a young lady by the name of Coco the Lawyer. Now, I don't agree with the majority of this clip, but there is a part of the clip that I do agree with. Can you guess what part it is? Let's play that clip.
This is how I also further know the black community is dealing way too much in emotion and not reasoning.
Sure.
I told y'all I was divesting from black men. Gave y'all statistics over multiple videos. Multiple different black women from all different parts of life have all congregated in all those comment sections to concur and add their 2 cents in and their experience. I am too educated. I listen to black women.
Well, the actual what? That doesn't make sense because if a lot of black men in these comment sessions, and they're all over the comment section, were to give their experience on black women, I mean, we would have a problem here, right? That has nothing to do with education. But let's I'm gonna dial it back a little bit because I wanted to kind of get into what she was saying. Let me see. I didn't grow up in poverty. I went to private school. My family, thanks to men, owns land. My wife's family has land. Wait a minute, is this her experience, or I wanted to see if that was her experience?
Too much in emotion and not reasoning. I told y'all I was divesting from black men.
Also, I don't really understand divesting. specifically, especially if you're still partaking in the black community. If you're leaving the community, um, let me read this. Divesting, as in taking my investment away from one group to another. Okay. While complaining about that group, that's crazy. You sound like a passport, bro. Nothing about this has to do with romantic relationships or my personal life. Of course it does. What are you talking about?
Gave y'all statistics over multiple videos.
No, no, I'm not. Hold on. Let me go back. I'm sorry, guys. She's like
Emotion
speeding
and
through
not
this.
reasoning. I told y'all I was divesting from black men. Gave y'all statistics over
No, I'm not going to the arms of Massa. I'm married to a black. Oh, so she's married to a black woman. Okay, so you're not necessarily divesting, right? Um, I don't understand. You're not divesting from the. Someone explain divesting in the comment section for me, because I was under the impression that she was leaving the black community. But let's continue.
multiple videos. Multiple different black women from all different.
Oh, and let's even talk about this one. I didn't grow up in poverty. I went to a private school. My family, thank you, thanks to the my family, thanks to the men, owns land and eventually inherited. My wife's family has land, has and will inherit. We build our own wealth. So what are we talking about here? You're not a divester, right? That's not divesting. That's not from what I've heard, like what divesting is. So someone put that in the comments section for me to learn, because I'm confused here. Because she even brings up the to the men, which 9 times out of 10 those were black men. I don't know why she put men in there like they're not black. So maybe I need to learn a little bit more. But even so, like I don't understand. She's not leaving the black community. But this is also kind of great. This is a great example of black people not always living in poverty as well. But it's always funny that it's the people that never have ventured into poverty, haven't looked up those statistics, haven't looked up those things that affect black communities across the world, but will come on here and say, "Hey, well, I have a silver spoon in my mouth, and so I didn't have to deal with what you guys had to deal with, and so that's why I'm leaving you guys behind." What? That doesn't really make sense. But even so, even by her definition, she is not a divester. I don't even know it. I don't. Maybe I have the maybe that I have the definition wrong.
Parts of life have all congregated in all those comment sections to concur and
But again, I could compile a comment section of women, black women that would also disagree with you, but also black men that would also have examples of black women not being able to provide actual the same things that you have. So, yeah.
add their 2 cents in and their experience. I am too educated. I listen to black women. I have a reasoning brain that I can separate my emotions from. This is why I divest.
But this is an emotional thing, because you, from a logical standpoint, you are not from poverty. You're not from a poverty stricken black community. You are from one side of the fence commenting on the other side of the fence. Probably, hopefully you're educated on that, but you are not using your education on understanding that point in order to make an argument. You're literally saying that, hey, all these women and their experiences um, are what drives me to make these deductions and things like that that are my example. So make that make sense. And I also want y'all to understand something too. The manosphere does this shit too. It's all built off of emotion. There's no logic here. Divesting is not to me a logical thing. Majority of them believe that they can go out to other communities and build wealth, and do other things, instead of doing it with their own communities, which is weird because I've literally met and been a part. My family is a family from Alabama. They have farmland, they have land, all that stuff. They got together and they created, what we perceive as generational wealth, being able to accumulate jobs, have houses, assets, all this stuff. Everybody's not going to be a millionaire. Everybody's not going to make $100,000 in a year. Everyone is not going to do all these different things that we see a Bill Gates and all that stuff are. We're not going to do that. So we have to come together and put our heads together in order to create these things and help these things out. That's really what's going to help you build generational wealth. There's a linear, straightforward answer to how to build generational wealth. You don't even have to use stocks. You know, go graduate from high school, go and get a meaningful job. That means if you go to school for something meaningful. Don't go and do fucking art history knowing that you're about to collect $80,000 in debt. You know you can't pay it back, and you're gonna have to have a decent life. Go to school for something meaningful. Go and get and if you don't go to school, go and get a trade, a reasonable trade in order to build wealth. You're not even in debt. So all you're really worried about is building up yourself as a person, and then get real estate, keep the house, fix up the house. Shit, if you have the money in the capital, your wife has the money of the capital, go somewhere else, make another house, things like that. These are all straightforward ways to building wealth. For some reason, us black people just don't do that. Whether we have the knowledge or whether it's just something that we don't do, there's passions that get in the way, things of that nature.
Black men as a whole are failing. And rather than hold them accountable and force them to succeed at anything other than running their mouth, y'all coddle and condone their failure. Make it make sense. You want unity, but they're not unified. Get them unified.
So guys, you heard the clip.
Now I will agree on the extent of unification, but it also sounds like she's not unified either. But I will respond on the unification thing. I just don't think that. I think everybody's just out for themselves right now. In 2022, going into 2023, I just think everybody's out for themselves. That's even some of these little smaller groups. No one wants to work together. No one wants to compromise. So I will agree with that part, that we're not unified as a black community. But watching all this stuff happen with the Jewish community, watching all this stuff happens with all these other things. It's not just that they own media companies or what have you. It's also because they're unified. You can't find one Jewish person that's going to really speak out against anything. Even when what's the guy that allowed Kanye to come on his platform? He let Kanye just rattle off whatever, but he had comments to come back at Kanye. You get what I'm saying? I think that's super important. But in our community, we just don't want to work together. Everybody's out for themselves.
In its entirety, I don't really care about her divesting from black men or for black men. She doesn't want to date them. Doesn't matter to me. I do want to focus on one part of the clip, and that is black men are not united.
You want unity, but they're not unified.
Let's deal with that as a particular subject, because a lot of black men forget about that, and they forget that black women are watching the fact that we are not united. Now, obviously, not every black man can unite with another brother. That's true. We're going to have guys in our own community that we do not like, that we hate, that are.
Well, that's not what unification is, too. That's kind of like what everybody thinks is supposed to happen. There's plenty of brothers that I don't like. You're going to always have conflict. It's just the level of conflict that you have within a community. We shouldn't be fighting and shooting and killing each other over dice games. The shit that happened with Takeoff, rest in peace. Shit like that shouldn't be happening. You're not going to see that happening in other communities on a higher level, especially when you start making millions and millions of dollars. I don't mind the gambling. I don't mind the buying the chains. I don't mind doing any of that stuff. But we also, as a community, have to move differently when we obtain a certain amount of success. For some reason, like, that just escapes black people. Yes, bro. Like, you can't just show up with like 5 different chains on in Crenshaw Boulevard. That doesn't make sense. No, you can't just walk around your old neighborhood, especially knowing that you graduated, did something well with your life, showed up with the better car than your homeboys that went to high school with you. Yes, they are plotting to rob your ass. You can't do shit like that. But you can invest in that community, meaning build businesses. You ain't got to visit those businesses that often. But build those businesses and things like that. Move carefully through that community and things of that nature. But that's how I see it personally. Um, but this idea of just we gotta like each other and shit. No, we don't have to like each other. There's plenty of black YouTube content creators that I disagree with. I don't wish ill on them. I don't wish them to die. I don't wish them to lose their money or their platform. I just criticize the things that they do. I commentate on it. That's it. That's as far as it goes. As soon as I cut this off, I will probably forget half the shit I say on here unless I go back and watch it again.
You're enemies with. It's normal. It happens with white people. It happens with Jews. It happens with Asians. Everybody in the same group doesn't like each other. That's true enough. But the first reason why black women do not respect black men is because black men have no respect for each other, period. Think about it. As black men, we teach women how to treat us. And when we come across each other in our respective cities, many of us as black men will not even speak to each other. Imagine a brother you see in Detroit. Imagine a brother you see in Cleveland. We can't even say hello because we have a problem.
He chose the worst neighborhoods too. For like black people, he chose like the worst neighborhoods. Of course, it's Detroit, nigga. The fuck we talking about?
Mean mugging each other. Now, if my brother is walking into the store, he got his daughter, he got his son, he got his wife, or anything like that, he got his girl, and I'm walking in the store, I have an attitude with him. I don't want to acknowledge him. And if I have that attitude towards black men, how am I ever going to be able to build a network? And it's not just the Pookies and the Ray Rays, because a lot of you brothers want to use that excuse. No, it happens at every level. Some of the brothers that are collegiate educated, brothers in professional schools.
Now, I will say that too. There's like this, and I think it's a small group of them. So this is just in my experience, in my opinion, and I honor that. That's just honestly in like a small group, just like these weird people that come from like, the silver spoon in their mouth, or they were able to climb out of, socioeconomic, restraints. And so they kind of resent where they came from. Me, I'm from the hood, dog. I'm from the hood. I'm not going back. I'm not moving there or anything like that. When I go and visit like my cousins and stuff like that, man, we don't stay there that long. We stay there for no more than probably like 30 minutes to an hour, and we get the hell on. Just because we understand and we know what that neighborhood brings, right? There's nothing wrong with, visiting and stuff. But I treat them just like I would treat, anybody else, just like I would treat a white man. Just like I would treat, one thing about me is I always smile at people when they look at me. I do try to acknowledge folks when they see me. I'm not really upset if a brother's like, because I don't know what type of day he having. I don't care about shit like that. But I do understand that there are these groups of people, whether they're from the hood or they're from where they think that they're better than people, or because they're in certain socioeconomic climates, that they get to belittle people. I hate that shit myself. I'll give them that. I agree with that.
Guy is not in your fraternity and your sorority, or fraternity rather, you don't want to work with the guy. And black women watch that. This is the reason why black men cannot come into any area and develop any of it.
But let me also say that too, is that there's like within the black community, there's also like a hierarchy as well. In that we have an issue with gatekeeping. And some black people, I do believe, especially on YouTube too, in the content creator space, it is fucking asinine actually. That a lot of like these content creators, they'll have some certain sort of success, and they don't really network together because they're scared that that person might either expose them, or they're scared that that person might have great points that might dwindle like their sub count or view count or whatever. People might be looking at them weird. I don't understand it. This is YouTube. It's content creation. I could care less. It also makes me think about that Donovan Sharp video where where also like Fresh and Fit confirmed that is what happened like a year ago. That that Kevin Simmons was arguing with them over a time slot. Now that's crazy in itself, right? That somebody would go out of their way to argue over a motherfucking time slot on YouTube, as if this is a job. I mean, as if this is like a 9 to 5. It doesn't matter whether you're infringing or anything like that. It's a free fucking platform. If you are half the content creator that you are, you could care less how much money someone else makes or how they make it or whatever the case may be, unless they're doing like scams and stuff like that, which I talk about a lot.
Develop each other in talents. Let's even look at it here on the internet. A lot of the opportunities we have in the social media content creation business, we can't even take advantage of because we won't even work together. We don't even know how to do business with each other. We don't even know how to approach each other in the business world, how to even have the simplest level of respect for each other. And it's not just a Pookie and a Ray Ray issue. It's an issue that happens with all of us as black men. Then we get upset when black women don't respect us. But if black women saw black men coming together to even do the smallest levels of development, you would get respect from black women. And don't even give me that whole thing, those Pookies and Ray Rays are the only ones that get respect. Or, listen, the guys don't get any respect from black women. They're just getting sex, if they're even getting that.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Like the manosphere for the last couple of years has only been focused on the dating, and there's been no personal development talks. We're not even talking about crypto or anything like that. Like those are special niches. And even like I look at Eli, I look at JT Pocket Watcher a lot. Even they talk about like within like that space, like most black people shouldn't even be invested in crypto because a lot of us are in debt. A lot of us don't even have $400 in your savings account. Why are you emptying your entire savings account into crypto and things like that? We lack the knowledge to actually understand that technology. While there's like other races that have been studying this stuff for years and how to actually build into businesses on top of that foundation and stuff like that. And we can't even do like the small things right. Like we can't even buy houses. We talk about the job markets and things like that. Now, let me also correct Oshay a little bit. We still deal with systematic racism. I don't know if he's still in Poland, or Africa, wherever he is, but we still deal with systematic racism over here. That still is prominent. So as we still sit here and talk about these issues that may be correct, we still have to be honest with ourselves. We still have to be honest with ourselves with these particular conversations.
But because we don't respect each other, we don't get anything from anybody in the black community. And that is our issue. Once we start having respect for each other as black men, people will start respecting us. And I know that because I saw that in my grandfather's generation. You had a lot more respect for black men towards each other. And that made a difference. The second reason that black men have a serious issue with getting respect from black women is black men don't invest / have ownership in the black community. Now, this is a tough one, right? And I want to talk about finances because unfortunately, finances is key. It's key in every community, right? Because, I believe that money in the black community only lasts 6 hours. But now one of the issues that we have is that we don't invest. And I'm talking about in general, right? Invest in yourself, invest in stocks, bonds, real estate, and you have no ownership, whether you have a business or anything that is community driven oriented that solves the solutions of your community. Now, I want to play a clip from this particular brother, right? He's here on YouTube. I forgot his name right now, but we'll put his name actually here in the video.
Before we start that, I do want people to understand that not in the black community as a whole, statistically, we're not in the position to invest in a lot of different things. And so I tell people mostly like, make sure you like as an individual, and this also comes with like the coming to the table together conversation. The one thing I love about like my uncles and stuff like that, maybe not when they were younger, but definitely now, majority of them, even if married, they have something. They own houses. They have ownership of their house and things of that nature. They built their their generational wealth. So when they pass, they put things in place to where people will get money and stuff like that. We're not even doing, you know what else like we don't really invest in is life insurance. We don't invest in life insurance. Um, we don't invest in a lot of different avenues that are so, again, just simple shit. Um, so just in case someone passes, they're able to, your son or your daughter is able to use that money in order to purchase a house or purchase other things that they need, tuition shit for college and stuff. Um, but also, here's the other thing, and this is what's going to really be controversial. A lot of our parents failed us as well. Coming up, a lot of our parents failed the fuck out of us. Let's be honest here. I've especially in the '90s, there was, especially when Comcast and all that stuff was coming out. Man, there was parents putting their kids' name on the Comcast bill. There were people putting their kids' name on the Verizon bill, knowing damn well they weren't gonna pay for it. There were people putting their kids as co-signers on a card that they knew they weren't gonna pay for. So that's also a part of it as well. That we also got to realize as well. That's an eternal issue, man. It's generational. We have to stop it. We actually have to stop doing the small shit that's going to hurt us. I don't care if you don't have Comcast, bro. You're gonna have to be watching basic cable, or you gonna have to you gonna kick them kids outside and let them play outside. They ain't gonna watch no cartoons, or they can go to the neighbor house who has Cartoon Network and all that stuff and pay for it and do things like that. This, you know what I mean? We can't. The black community specifically, man, will fuck up their kids before they kids even get a chance to fuck up themselves, and a lot of parents are not disciplined. That's a generational habit. I've met a lot of people, once they got disciplined, their kids got disciplined. Like it almost as if it tracks. There's a lot of like underlying issues that he doesn't really talk about in this specific part that I wish he would talk about.
And he talks about why black people have a hard time investing.
First, we have to start off with the facts to get an understanding of why the black community does not invest in the stock market and real estate and cryptocurrency the same as our counterparts. Fact 1, half of all black U.S. adults don't have any assets or are currently not invested in anything. And if you break that down by gender, 59% of black women don't invest or have any invested assets, while 42% of black men don't have any vested assets.
Yes, but we know why though, right? Like we really understand. I hate when they do this, right? Like when they go, oh man, well look at black women, like they're like at 59%, but black men are at 42. We're all low, bro. And if you really want to understand this, it's like most black women typically are trying to find partners. They're trying to find black men that will invest, that will do that work and things of that nature. And so a lot of them aren't like the sister in the beginning that are a part of the LGBTQ community. Most of them are heterosexual. They're trying to find men and stuff like that. So most women, they're not growing up to learn to invest. That's not no feminine shit. That's not no. Most women are literally looking for partners, men that have already made those investments, made those type of moves and things like that. So yes, most women, especially black women, are not in the investment period or anything like that unless they are part of those niches. They are part of crypto. They are part of they are lawyers, things like that. Especially if they're in these male dominated spaces.
Pause moment. Now, before I dissect this information, I want to be clear that this was a survey given to 5,000 something people. So this is not a widespread survey, but I'm pretty sure if it was widespread, the information wouldn't be much different. What I've got to say here is how important it is to hold assets and to build wealth by investing in something that's going to give you more money in the future, or at least put you in a position to make a decision to get a better investment going for yourself or someone you love.
So you guys saw that, right? There's another clip from the sister.
Let me also say this is that The black community's biggest issue is these fake. I'm not saying this brother's a fake guru. That's our biggest issue as well when it comes to real estate and things like that. See, here's the thing about white people. I'm gonna use white people as an example. The thing about white people is they don't have that many charlatans running around doing this shit. Majority of them have family members that own houses, have family members that own businesses, that are successful businesses, make revenue from it. They have all of these different things that will get them away from the Grant Cardones, that'll get them away from the Jay Morrisons, that'll get them away from the Dr. Umar Johnsons. They're not just sending money into these charlatans. Maybe preachers, but like majority of them aren't just sending money into these guys. It's coming from the poor communities majority of the time. And that's our issue as well, is that we lack the knowledge to actually invest in this stuff. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know shit about crypto. I couldn't tell you anything besides the basic knowledge of crypto, and obviously I can read. So a lot of this stuff specifically, a lot of people just don't know. They don't understand it. They have no idea how to invest in crypto. They don't even know where to start. Some of y'all just got a Coinbase and it's just sitting there. Some of y'all got an Acorn account and it's just sitting there. You don't even know the first thing. And some of y'all put money in there to seeing you lost like $5 million in like 2 weeks because you didn't know what the fuck you were doing. So
That talks about the disparity that even affluent black men have. Think about this. Affluent black men who are discriminated against, right? The things that they experience. I want you to see how even the top percentage of black men are struggling in America with lack of opportunities.
It's also very important to be mindful of the fact that blacks experience affluence and its financial benefits differently than other groups, particularly black men. Researchers at Stanford and Harvard University, working with the Census Bureau, conducted a sweeping study that traced the lives of millions of children and found that black boys raised in America, even in the wealthiest families, earn less in adulthood than white boys with similar backgrounds. Researchers concluded that if this inequality cannot be explained by individual or household traits, much of what matters probably lies outside the home, in surrounding neighborhoods, and the economy.
if everybody remembers, and I'll post it, like the D.L. Hughley situation where he went and he posted his house, or he posted a house that he was selling, and they gave it to him, I think at the same selling price that he got the house in, but he did all these renovations to the house, all these different things to the house, but then he went and he found a white counterpart. He actually put that white counterpart in front of his house, allowed him to represent him for his house. I think like he got like 3 times the amount or something like that. I think he ended up suing him for that, but yeah, it's real. Even black celebrities deal with discrimination, even when they have the money, the credit, all that stuff.
And in a society that views black boys differently from white boys and even from black girls, as black women do not experience the same dynamic. Some of the researchers even went so far as to say that what happens to these affluent black boys and men is the major cause of the wealth gap. These socioeconomic tragedies make investing even more imperative for the black community. The financial markets can help us empower ourselves and level our own economic playing fields.
So just think about the majority of us that were not born with a silver spoon in our mouth. Guess what? If we don't have investments, we can't control the narrative of what happens in the community. What happens with a lot of black men is a lot of constitutive complaining about what they don't have, about, what somebody isn't giving us. When we are traditionally men, we are the creators of what we see in the communities that we live in. For an example, in the black manosphere, this community, 2015 rather, a few brothers came together. I'm still in the business today. I now have other things like the Pan-African Dating Show. You guys have seen some of the episodes there. I produce now my own movies. I have my own studio now. It's called ownership. And I get a lot of support. Financially, I get support from brothers on emails. I'm not rich or anything, but it's the start because I have ownership in what I'm trying to do for the community that I'm a part of, because it's a need that needs to be created. But you don't see that with some other brothers. We don't even know how much money we have to retire. We don't even know where we want to own a house at. We don't even understand how to even get into the situations where we can network with other people.
Well, that's also about like being intentional, right? Like that's also the problem too that you're basically bringing up is intentional. Um, and I talk about that a lot too within like mansplaining is that like a lot of men are just not we're not raising our young boys to be intentional either. I think like young boys are really allowed to kind of like go out there and like explore different options and stuff. But it's funny again, this is funny coming from the manosphere because they literally that's what they tell you. Oh man, go out and explore your options and things of that nature. When honestly you need to be worried or more intentional with the things that you want. Big dog, I feel like you know if you're gonna be the next LeBron James. I feel like LeBron James. I don't care what nobody says. Like LeBron James, when you look at his like his high school history and things like that, you knew you were gonna be a decent player, or you knew you had a role to. And there's some people who take that chance. They might not have been pinned as that special moving forward, but then they became a story later on. I see those people as outliers, but you know if you're gonna be a big time rapper. Some of y'all are not even doing enough to become big time rappers, but you know if you're gonna be a big time rapper, you know if you're gonna do all these different things. So there has to be an intentional part. That's not me telling nobody not to live their dreams or anything like that, because you know I'm a part of that as well, living the dream that I want to do and things of that nature. But then there has to be other plans and there has to be other things that need to be executed on the back burner in order for you to continue to even pursue your ideologies and things like that. If you know it's going to take you a long ass time, then you shouldn't be, you know what I mean? Hey, it needs to be a part of the plan. Otherwise, no one's going to follow you, not a single person.
Learn businesses, learn things that, and remember, community minded, right? As black Americans, we understand the problems that our community has. So we can attack it in ways that are financially lucrative. We don't take the opportunity to do that. So when you don't do that as men, you have no ownership of the community, which means you have no ability to hire, fire your people, or have any financial power. Women typically don't have a respect for guys who don't have any ownership of their community. Now, I know what guys are gonna say. Well, they're out there working for this person, or they're over there with these Pookies and Ray Rays. I get it. Those sort of women, we don't even really want in the conversations right now.
Wait, were you saying because they're working with like white people, or that we don't want to deal? What are you talking about here? Oh, was he implying that? Oh well, they're working for other people. Let me also say this too, and me and Emmanuel joke. I think his name is Emmanuel. I think it's a Couchu or something like that. He used to play football. He's on there. He talked about the Deion Sanders thing, which I'll probably make a separate video on that. But he was talking about the Deion Sanders video. I mean, or everything that's coming out, and everybody was upset because he left GSU. But a long story short, he was there for like what 2 to 3 years. He got that team a 10-year deal. He went and got them practice facilities, all that stuff in a matter of 2 years. In 2 years, he did what probably a multitude of black coaches could have done in 10 years, right? It was so bad over there that they couldn't even, if it rained, they couldn't even practice because they would fuck up the fields. You get what I'm saying? The swag had never had that much attention on it. The attendance, all that stuff, the swag, everything made sense over there, right? Now, at the end of the day, the brother still has to get paid. Still has a family to take care of and things like that. He still has growing to do on his own in his coaching ledger and things like that. I don't know why people thought that he was going to get like Jackson State to like Alabama in like a couple of years, but that it's going to take more than a couple of years, man. But he showed his worth, and he's going to Colorado to continue to build his resume. What he did there was substantially beneficial to the black community, but all because he wouldn't take a pay cut, or he wouldn't. I don't even know if Jacksonville State even offered him a contract. No one said anything, But because he did that, people call him a sellout. He ain't no sellout. That's a black man infiltrating, getting more money, getting more young black boys exposure. He took his son from being at GSU to now on a bigger stage. So he possibly has a NFL future, especially if he goes and wins. He's gonna have a chance to move into being a top quarterback. So yeah, man, like a lot of y'all don't see the bigger picture. So hopefully O'Shea wasn't alluding to that, but whatever.
Now, but let's talk about this, right? Because we're not going to deal with women who are dealing with Pookies and Ray Rays. That's not who we're dealing with. But let's look at people like Tyler Perry, who has ownership of his business.
For the line crew and the go-getters, there's Granger, supplies and solutions for everyone.
Let's talk about Robert Smith, right? These are people that we know that have ownership. There are many black men in Philadelphia, Baltimore. They own like 60 houses or 100 houses, or they own 3 or 4 houses. We're talking about brothers like P. Diddy, people with ownership and things. And I'm not.
Yeah, P. Diddy still fucked a lot of black people over though, bro. Them contracts were egregious.
Saying that you have to be a ownership owner or you have to be a big time business person, but you have ownership. And guess what? Women respect men who have the ability to lead. Okay? It's just the reality. You have enough money you know how to manage your funds. You know how to own your house. Things like that, especially in the black community. I have a friend of mine who just does, what do you call these games that they play in high school? In the summer, those summer league basketball games, right? AAU games. He has an AAU tournament team. He just sells snacks. He's getting like $1,000 every day. It's a community-minded oriented solution, and he employs people. He makes a ton of money doing it all the time. But black men are not doing that. We have no ownership of the community. So you can't create jobs there. You can't clean up your people there. You can't hire and fire anybody there, even on a small level. And
well, let me also say this too, which is that's a great point. Yes, we don't have these huge networks of or money or anything like that. And of course, that stuff does take time. But I also think that it's very important to understand that, again, all that means is intentional. All that goes under the same umbrella of intentional. I'm also going to say that I'm not going to use the hyperbole of like Tyler Perry because he's an outlier. Again, there's like a straight, narrow shot to wealth as far as like in America. I'm not saying it's easy. It's not easy depending on people's situations, but it's simple. And those are two different concepts. So, but instead, because we're human, because we see all these different, I also want to say that we highlight certain things in our community that we shouldn't be necessarily highlighting. I love music. And I love music. I love artistry. I love all that. But it's not a highlight in my life. Just being honest, you could be a janitor, and to me, you're just as successful as like Lil Baby. You could be, I don't know, Walmart employee. You got a 401k. You're getting raises every day. You're taking care of your family. You're making smart financial choices. You're not out here renting Lambos on your minuscule check, or anything like that. You're putting yourself in positions. Those things are super important to me, more so than anything. I'm gonna stop it right here and just conclude it as, man, we do have I like this video because it's one of the few videos I feel like O'Shea has where he has actively reviewed what black men have and stuff like that. They should have been hearing this from day one. Not about, and I know this video probably not gonna get that many views, even though it got a lot of hate on it. It's probably not gonna get that many views, but compared to like all his other shit on like the women and shitting on the women and all that stuff. But if we did this, if we built up like the manosphere, the black community, things like that, more so than like go to tearing down and working against all these people, I think that would be more lucrative, more positive than the content. But anyway, have a great night, guys. Peace. Oh shit.